I wanted to do something this week that I haven't done in quite some time, and that is focus on doing a cute little cake topper. I chose a beachy theme, seeing as we're coming into summer. I'll also show you how to create some gorgeous beachy waves on a basic buttercream cake at the end, just to tie it all together. I'm Janine, and you're watching That's Cakeable. So I'm taking a bit of flesh-coloured modelling paste rolled into a ball, and then I take my finger about halfway to 2/3 down and make a couple of little indents where I want the eyes to be, pushing in the centre there to make a nose bridge area. I also pushed it up a little bit, and then I take my fingers and roll them around the outside of the face just to accentuate the shape. I pinch off the excess, and that's around about where the neck will be anyway. I'm just taking another piece of modelling paste, rolling it into a tiny ball, putting it on that bridge of the nose area to make a cute little button at the end. Now I'm using a clay modelling tool here, but you can use a Dresden tool. I just put that where I want the mouth to be, and I just gently tease the fondant up and downwards on the top lip and the bottom lip, and then very importantly push in underneath the chin. This will accentuate the cheeks and make it look a bit more chubby. And then I use my finger underneath the head to push under and make the chin area, which also accentuates those chubby little cheeks. Just smooth that out. Now I'm taking a small silicone shaper tool and just making a couple of dots on either side of the mouth to make it a bit more smiley. Once again, making sure that chin is nice and pushed down. Now I'm taking a small ball tool and just making indents where I want the eyes to be. To fill the eyes, I'm just using some white modelling paste rolled into balls. I pop that in the indent. Then I've used some dark brown modelling paste, a smaller ball, and pop that on top of the white. And then of course our catchlight is a tiny, tiny piece of white modelling paste right on top of that. Now I'm making the ears, very small balls of modelling paste, pushed onto the side of the head quite a way back and about at eye level. And then just with the silicone shaper tool, I make a hole in that ball to make it look a little bit more like an ear. Okay, so now I want to make some top lashes for our little beach baby. I've taken a tiny sliver of brown fondant, and I'm just wrapping that around the top of the eye, attaching it with the tiniest bit of water. You don't want too much or the colour will bleed. And I'm just using my very fine paintbrush to assist me. Now I'm making eyebrows. You can see how tiny I'm cutting that fondant. You can hand paint them on if it's easier. I'm also attaching that with just a tiny bit of water and the assistance of my tiny paintbrush again. A little bit of petal dust on the cheeks for a bit of a rosy blush. I popped a little bit on the nose and then used a small brush and put a little bit on the mouth. Just for some side lashes, I went a little bit extra, I know. Very tiny pieces of fondant, once again attached with a little bit of water and the assistance of my tiny paintbrush. To make the dimples, I just used the end of the handle of my paintbrush and popped them in the cheeks. Now on to making the body. So I've got a teardrop shape of flesh-coloured sugar paste that I dent halfway down or thereabouts with the side of my finger. Just rolling that out. This is separating the belly from the chest area. And then you elongate a little bit at the top to make a neck area. Smooth it all out into like an egg shape, and then just cut off the excess of the neck like that and pop that aside for a moment. Now on to making our little legs. I've taken 2 equal-sized snakes of flesh-coloured fondant, and I just cut the bottom of the snake shape on an angle, and I use a tool to indent a separation between the foot and the leg. Smooth that out with my fingers to make it a little softer, and then I push down the top of the foot and flatten out the bottom of the foot. Then I make another little indent just a little ways up to make sort of a calf area. Now to make the toes, I've just made lines with a tiny sugar shaper tool to mimic the separation between the toes. And this is a bit fiddly, but so worth it because it looks so cute. I've just used tiny little balls of fondant on the ends of those lines to make the little tootsies. Of course I did that twice. To make the hands, I've taken the same flesh coloured fondant and I'm just sort of rolling it between my fingers to make a ball at one end. And then I continue to roll the rest of it out into a thin sort of snake. I push down the ball area and that's where our hand will be. So I'm cutting out a triangular section now, which will make the thumb area. And then I cut a line halfway through the remaining part of the hand, a line between the thumb and the first line, and then a line on the other side to make our 5 fingers. I just used a sugar shaper tool to soften them. Now we're going to make our little bather bottoms. So to make these bather bottoms, I have used a thin piece of pink fondant cut out into a larger triangle. And then I took another piece of thin pink fondant and cut it into a smaller trapezium shape. This will be the front of our bather bottoms. To make the ruffles that go on our bathers, I've taken a thin piece of fondant that I've cut out into a rectangle. And then I'm just using a veining tool to make impressions all the way down the side and make miniature ruffles, I suppose. And to stick this guy together, I'm using sugar paste mixed with water, and it makes it into a gluey paste, and when it sets perfectly hard. And of course the colour matches, so you don't see any differences. To attach the bather bottoms, I've taken the pointed top part of the triangle and placed that underneath the bottom. And then I've wrapped the 2 sides around the belly. Then with the wider end of the trapezium, I make that match up with the sides of the triangle and fold the rest underneath. The top part of the bathers is just a thin piece of pink fondant wrapped around the chest area. And then I just went ahead with a little bit of water and added those ruffles on top of our bathers. Wanted to pretty it up a little bit, so I've taken some edible art paint in white and a dotting tool, and I've just made polka dots all over the cute little pink bathers. Now I'm going to put it all together. So I have a skewer through the center of the body right now, and I've attached the little legs to either side of the bather bottoms with the sugar paste that I've mixed with water. And now I'm just adding the arms the same way, placing them where I like them, cutting off any excess, and the arms on also. To attach the head, I'm using some of that sugar paste once again on that top skewer, and then I just pop the head on top. To make her hair, I used a golden colour, so I'm using a goldy sort of coloured fondant that I've rolled into a rounded disc. And make sure that it covers the entire back of the head. I'm pressing that onto the back of the head, just using a little bit of water and smoothing it down around the back and on the sides. For the front of the hair, I'm just taking some tapered snakes of fondant that I'm flattening down and attaching that on the front with some water. Making sure that it fits, I'm just pinching off the excess with my fingers. And just make sure that the front parts of the hair match up with the back part. You don't want any gaps in there, bald patches. I went ahead and did that on the other side also. I then took my veining tool and just made some lines in that hair for texture. And her little ponytails, I've just taken some more of that gold fondant, tapered it into little sausages, added some lines, and then I just stuck them on behind her ears onto her hair. Now making her hat, I have a thin piece of white fondant that I've got around about sort of egg yolk shape. And then I've taken a ball of fondant using my balling tool and sort of smoothing out the center of it to make it rounded. Making sure that it's all the right size. To attach that, I've just put some water on the top of her head, place that fried egg yolk shape on top, and then just the rounded ball part on top of that. To neaten it up and finish it off, I just took a thin piece of pink fondant, wrapped it around the seam of the hat, and made her a little bow. Ready for the beach. And here we are making some beachy waves on the cake. I've just got a closed star tip. I'm using Swiss meringue buttercream, and you sweep it around and up, all the way on top of each other. I did end up changing my colors and went a bit more ombre, but the same effect applied. A few accessories for our little beach baby: a towel, a bucket and spade, and an umbrella. I put some biscuit crumbs and brown sugar on the cake to stand, and there it is. Well guys, I hope you really enjoyed my summer themed figurine tutorial this week. Of course, you can dress this little one up as anything you wish to make it fit your theme, and you can change the hairstyle, color, anything you like. Once again guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you are informed every time I upload new content. Also, if you have any questions, please don't forget to ask in the comments box below. That's what it's there for, and I'm happy to answer. Well, I think it's that time again. Time for you to go and get your cake on. I'll see you next time. Bye.